Well, hello again, everybody. Boyd here with you once more, and welcome to part 2 of our kit buildup, the MPC 1/25th scale. And we're moving along pretty well on this one. Since the last video, I was left off there where I was going to do some polish work on the body and finishing up the detail on the interior, and I've gone ahead and done that. I've also assembled the engine and got that installed, and a little bit of work on the chassis, getting the wheels and tires done and all put on. The model's about 90% assembled here. And just thought I'd show you guys how it's looking now. What we're going to be focusing on in today's video is getting the all-important scanner on the front of the car set up, and I'll show you what I've been doing on that. I've got the board there in the background from K.I.T.T Controls, and I've come up with a nice way to make this work, and I'll talk about that here. Just kind of going around the car a little bit, you can see we've got our nice black paint job on it, and we've done most of the exterior detail. We've got the taillights in, the license plate, the mirrors have been mounted. There's a few small little parts, part of the exhaust system I've got to put on, and there's a lower air dam at the front that needs to go on, but I can't put that on until I get my scanner all worked out and installed in there. So that'll be what we'll be doing last on this. But just a quick look at it. You can see we've got a little lens that we mounted there in the front for our scanner system, and I decided to use the smoked glass for the windshield, the T-tops, and the rear. I really I think it makes it look a little bit different and kind of more mysterious looking, if you want to say. And I really like how it looks from the front with the blacked out glass. It really looks cool like that, kind of all blacked out. And our paint job came out really nice on this one. We buffed it all out and got rid of all the little dust specks and everything that were in it, really nice and smooth. Let me pop the hood here and show you guys what we've got going on in here. You can see we've got our basic GM small block engine installed. I've got all the detail done on that. It's the twin turbo setup. I don't think it ever came in one of these cars, but it looked neat and it had a lot of detail, a little bit more detail than the other engine option they gave you. And here, what I've done is I've made a little lens out of just regular clear sheet styrene and 030 thickness. And I noticed the car had segments in between the the little lens here, so I just used some really thin Tamiya black tape and made those little segments on there, and then I painted that whole thing from the back side with some Tamiya transparent red. Now if you look at the front of the model here really carefully, there's these little tiny slots that they leave you on each side of where the scanner goes right there, and it allows you to get it trimmed down to size and mount it in there just about perfect. And so the actual lens part was fairly easy to do and get that set up. What I'm going to do here now, guys, is I'm going to kind of slide the car out of the way here. Well, first, before I do that, I've got the wiring hooked up here. So let's look at the lighting on the inside of the car. I'll go ahead and pull the T-tops off here, and you can see we've got our screens all lit up there. Our TV screens and our dash is lighted up, and that came out great. And don't forget, we're going to have our little voice box there just above the steering wheel that I showed in the last video. That'll work once we get our soundboard here. I don't have the soundboard here yet. But once I get that, we'll get that all hooked up and demonstrate that working too. But today's video is really going to mainly focus on the scanner, which is all important detail on this car. Alright guys, we're back with you here, and we're going to show you how we've got this control board set up from K.I.T.T Controls for the scanner effect at the front of the car here. This is an actual kit that Ralph has over at his website. It's listed over there as the Cylon Eye effect, which is the same exact thing. And it basically scans back and forth. It's got 5 outputs on it, so you can have 5 LEDs hooked up to it. You could double up on the LEDs if you wanted to for something else if you wanted to, but I've used 5 of these little tiny 1.8 millimeter butterfly type LEDs. Now they call this a butterfly because it has the anode and cathode wires coming out on sides of the LED. It's really tiny, but it worked out great for this. These are red, and what I've done here is I've used the radiator core support for the model here, which sits right in behind the scanner, the front part of the car, and this lower part of the radiator you can't see at all once it's down inside the vehicle. It's totally enclosed, so we won't be able to see that. But I've glued 5 of these little butterfly type LEDs here in place, and I've got my wiring all coming out of that. This wiring is going to get routed up underneath of the car and up over the wheel well and down behind the tire once it's sitting on the base so you can't see it. And that's why I've got the wires really, really long here on this. But you can see here in this picture, this is the actual control board itself. It's really small. Ralph's got it set up with a 9-volt battery clip on it and a switch. We won't be using that switch. We're going to be using a switch that's going to be on our mounted on our shadow box like we did with the Interceptor there. So we'll hook all that up later, but it's powered by 9 volts. And you can see you've got your wire harness that plugs in here that comes off of it, and the instructions here are really clear about which wire goes to which. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outputs, so you want to make sure you put those in order so they fire evenly. So what I'll do now is I'll turn on the power, and you can see the nice little scanner effect we've got going back and forth there. And it's really simple to do. I'll point out something on this. On the top here of this actual part, there were these little nubs that were sticking up on the car that I had to modify, because this was set up for the like the stock Trans Am front end, which the front end on the Knight Rider car is different. And it had these little raised areas here, I think, where the housings where the parking lights normally went, and they were sticking up just enough where they were interfering with the closing of the hood. The front of the hood would not lay down all the way and shut, you know, perfectly. So I shaved those down. I've got to do a little bit more sanding on that, clean this up a little bit. This is still really rough. But what I did for my light blocking here is I took some just regular Testors enamel in black, and I just went all around these on the top, the sides, and everything. So only the very front part of these LEDs is exposed, so we don't get any light coming out the sides or anything. So it's all shining right out the front, and we don't get any light leaks or anything. So that worked out really good. And like I said, this was really simple to do, and it's going to add a lot of you know, a nice little effect on this for the front end. We've got our interior lighting, we've got the voice box that's going to work, and we'll have the scanner too, so that's going to be pretty cool. Alright guys, I'll pause one more time. We'll come back and we're going to show you actually working this inside of the front end of the car and getting that all installed and show you how the effect looks. So we'll be right back with that. Okay guys, well, we're back here and we're going to get our scanner ran up inside the model here. Now what I'm going to do is, I mentioned I didn't hook up any of the bottom detail of the car here, so we can get our kind of radiator core support, and we can fish this up through the bottom side of the car here. And we've got our LEDs that have all been glued in place and everything here, and I'll work this way up through, and we're going to have this facing forward, and I'll go ahead and get this tilted down just right. And this sits in here really good. It works out great. Now what I had to do, it's not perfectly all cleaned up and everything yet guys, but what I had to do here at the front is I had to in order to get the hood and everything to fit good on this car, I had to shave down a little bit of the detail that's on the very top of the core support there. So I'll wind up sanding that down nice and clean, and then just painting over that and getting that all smoothed out. There are these raised details in there that are sort of, I guess, where the little parking lights would normally go on the regular Trans Am, and they're not there on this car, so they could be removed. So, but those little lumps that were there, that little detail, was keeping the hood from coming all the way down and sitting nice and flush. So I worked that out and got that squared away. So and this will all of course get glued in place, and once it's in place I'll be able to tuck my wires and go up underneath of the front tire here on the passenger side and kind of work that in behind the tire and bring it down. Like I said, once it's down on the base, the wires will be pretty much hidden. But let's go ahead and set the hood back on this so we get the full nice effect of this here. And I've got the hood fitting pretty good on this car. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it fits about as good as I could get it. And I've got it so shiny that every tiny little time you touch it or any little piece of dust lands on it, you can totally see it. That's the beauty of black. So let me lower you down here just a little bit, and we'll turn the car facing you here, hopefully so you can see it a little bit better. And I'll go ahead and hook up my power, and we'll let our scanner operate here. Okay guys, well there you go. We got a nice little effect going back and forth there. This is actually the Cylon Eye from the, as it's called over at Ralph, Tenaglia's website, Tenna Controls. It's the Cylon I kit, but he can modify that board for you to do this car, basically. I'll get a little bit closer here to it so you can see that. And let's come up just a little bit. And I'm really happy with it. It actually, you know, it looks a little bit sourcey in the camera, but it's not. It's got a nice subtle lighting effect going back and forth in person, and you can actually see the segments that I put in there, the little black lines that I put in there. I'm not sure if that's showing up on the camera or not, but just it looks just like it did on the show here in person, where you can see those little lines and everything. And so I thought that turned out pretty cool. And we don't have any light leaks. What I basically did is I just painted, as I glued those 1.8s down onto that core support there, I just took some black enamel, tester's enamel, and just dabbed some paint all around on those LEDs, except for the very tips that are lighting. And that took care of all the light leak problems and everything like that. So we don't have any light coming out of the bottom of the car. And the nice thing about this now is that if you use this method, you can light this and still keep the engine and everything in it. I know on the Aoshima, if you use their light kit with that, it's kind of a big board with a switch on it that fits in there, and it doesn't allow you to use the engine if you decide to go that route. So this gives us the best of both worlds, and it works great. As I said, I'll run the wires up the sides and everything. So that's a look at what we've done so far, guys. I'm really pleased. Like I said, I'll go ahead and put the T-tops back on here for you so you can see the car again. It's not a bad little kit. You know, there are a couple, like, you know, it has been pointed out on several of the reviews that have done of this model and other things. I guess I've got these backwards. The kit has some inaccuracies. You know, whoops. Let me get this in here for you guys. These things are kind of a pain to fiddle around with, but they're neat how they can be removed, and you can see the full detail of the interior. So I want to leave them loose. Once the model's on the stand and everything, they won't get disturbed that much. But I really like how it looks from the front, especially with the smoked out glass. And we kind of turn it here again for you so you can see the paint work and everything. It looks really cool, and with the lighted interior, and especially if we get our talking voice box to work, which I'm pretty sure we will be able to, that'll come out really nice, and a nice little replica. As I said, inaccuracies. It's missing the little vents that are on the front of the fenders that Kit had, and I didn't know that, but before I painted it, I noticed that the little belt molding they have on the door is not on Kit either, so you could easily sand that off on this kit. I did sand off all the Trans Am logos and everything like that, but I didn't catch that little detail, and it's too late now, so I'm not really worried about it. But we did the wheels up really nice. You know, there's no Pontiac logos on the wheels. All the Pontiac logos were completely removed off of the real Kit car. So one little detail I did here too is, if it'll show up, is I actually made some reflective lenses for the mirrors on here on the back side. They were just, you know, all black, and I have some of this little silver film that I use for stuff. It's like monocoat that you used to get for the old model airplanes, and you can get that in sheets at your hobby store, and it makes great little mirrors and different things that you want to do for if it doesn't come with the kit. So just a little bit extra something there. But let's turn it back around to see the scanner here again, and you can see, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm really happy with it. It's not perfect, but it's for being 1/25th scale, it's pretty darn cool, and it has everything we wanted it to do. So we'll be back with another update on this one, guys. That'll be part 3, and that'll be getting the soundboard hooked up, getting our voice box to work, and then getting it all set down onto our shadow box. Like I said, I'm not going to do a full-on diorama with this one. We're just going to put it on there. Jerry's making me a nice plaque for the bass, and we'll have our sound effects to go with it, and our voice box working, and it'll be a pretty neat little display. So I hope you guys are enjoying this, and I hope you guys will build one of these out there just like this. And that little board from Tenna Controls works great. It's easy to light up the dash, like I said. So that's it for this round, guys. We'll see you again in a few more days, and back with more on this one. So take care out there. Have some fun, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Happy modeling, everyone.